that there's a difference between those who are officers and those who are enlisted. Officers have time, it seems like, or taking more time to plan for the future. It's the enlisted that are not.
Welcome to the ASVAB Domination podcast, where we help you crush the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, also known as the ASVAB, in order to achieve your dreams of serving in the United States Armed Forces. I'm your host, Mickey Gaminal, and I'm excited to share my years of experience and expertise in ASVAB preparation with you. In each episode, we'll dive deep into test material, strategies for success, and insights from military veterans and experts. Whether you're a high school student considering military service or a seasoned professional seeking to advance your career, this podcast is your ultimate guide to mastering the ASVAB and achieving your goals. Let's dominate the ASVAB together. Welcome back to the ASVAB Domination podcast. My name is Mickey Gaminal, and I am here with Daniel Seehafer, the commander of the American Legion and a Navy chaplain as well. And I'm so excited to have him here with me today. And you're a pastor as well, from what I've heard. So how are you doing today, Pastor Dan? Is Pastor Dan okay?
Yes, that's okay. Some people call me Chaps. They call me Pastor, Rev. I kind of joke with it and say, as long as you don't call me late for supper, kind of thing. But anyway, it's good to be here. Hello there, everybody.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Chap. Chap is what we'll go with. And so I'm really excited to have you in today. You're talking about the American Legion. And I know from my research on your experience in joining the American Legion, that when you'd first heard about it, you weren't exactly sure what it was. And that was the same for me. I saw you guys through like a Facebook ad of all things. And I thought it's kind of an interesting idea. So do you think you could give us like a brief analysis? What is the American Legion?
We are the largest wartime veterans organization. And I kind of use, instead of saying organization, really family. That's what we truly are. And what we really do, I've been kind of coining this, and it really has pulled on the heartstrings of a lot of people because it does exactly define who we are. We are a family of veterans. And of course, when I say the family, we have auxiliary, we have sons, and some people are very passionate as Legionnaires, and we call them the riders. They ride bikes for good causes and things like that. And that means motorcycle. But anyway, what I always say is as a family of veterans that changes lives and saves lives. And everything that we do, we have 4 great pillars within our organization. And I kind of look at it as V-Day. So we deal with veterans, obviously, veterans rehabilitation and that administration aspect of things. And then the day is defense, Americanism, and youth. And really, those are our 4 pillars that make us relevant and have purpose. And that kind of leads me right into, our big mission. I don't say just a catchy phrase or like even a campaign, but really our mission. And that's we call it Be the One. Be the One. And what that is to really, we want suicide to be eliminated within our veteran community. And, to put this in perspective for our listeners and viewers, the American Legion has around 12,000 posts. If we put that in as I said, in perspective, that's double that of Walmart's. We all know about Walmart, right? That's twice the size of Walmart's. And we're about 2,000 less than McDonald's. So we're all over, and I'm not saying just in the nation, but we're all over the world. So we can make a great impact, a positive impact, a life-changing and saving impact to our veterans out there. And that's just one. When I say be the one, to destigmatize, obviously, that of asking for help, takes great, we always say this, it takes great courage to ask for help. And it's okay not to be okay. You know, I there is nobody out there that wouldn't want to be in the clouds, flying like and soaring like an eagle every single day, right? Not a problem at all in your life. But I think our viewers understand that that's not life. Sometimes maybe, or maybe here, and maybe we're here. And then again, there's going to be, my hand's not going to be on the screen anymore. We're down low, right?
Yeah.
And that's where it's important to have a family. And I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to be blunt and honest. We're not perfect. You know, nobody is. But I have toured, not just toured. I always say that what I do is for mission wise and purpose. But when I go and I visit departments and plug into posts that go into the communities, as well as then traveling around the world, I have already done that. Vietnam, Taiwan, South Korea. Then I looped back to Hawaii. Just in that, I took a visit to Guatemala. Everywhere I go, how people circle around me and say, you know, and then some even step up even more, and they want to. I think it's maybe because I am chaps, you know, people want to open up to me. They feel comfortable with me, and that's great. But they'll open their heart to me and say, you know something, and this time they do call me Commander though, but they say, you know something, Commander, you know, what you talked about, and when you deal with suicide and those issues, and you're talking about that, they'll say this, that was me. What you talked about was me. And then they start tearing up. And some have even stood up in meetings and said this publicly, if it wasn't for you, I would not be here. And that's powerful.
Yeah.
That's purpose. You know, talking about changing lives and saving lives, that's what we do. And that's one issue. That's one component of what we do. And I think you alluded to it earlier, you know, and when I was first back in 1997, it was one of my congregational members who was involved. I just got called. I'm fresh out of the seminary, fresh out of school, right? In my program to be a pastor, I mean, it's not just going online, and no offense to those, but just going online and getting and saying I'm ordained, you know, with a little card. My way was 8 years. So I had to go to undergrad to get my BA and another 4 years to get my master's. But when somebody came up to me and said, Pastor, we'd love to have you join our post. And I'll admit, I didn't know, you know, what's the American Legion. But as I started to grow and learn more, I'm like, it's not just a little post, you know, or some think it's a little club. We are not just a little club.
Huge. That's
Way
gigantic.
more. Way more. And it's amazing what we do. But bottom line, you know, if they would, and that's what I'm trying to teach people, bottom line, the American Legion, what is it all about? Largest wartime veterans organization in the world. But this is a family of veterans that really changes lives and save lives.
Outstanding. Yeah, no, I know anybody who's served on a platoon or been in a squad or anything like that, there's that strong sense of family, right? There's this closeness that just can't be beat. And I know previously you said, you know, when it comes to being the one, it's usually at 180 days that sort of, you know, when people finish their military service, that's when issues with suicide and those kinds of, I don't know if they're ideations or signs and that sort of thing, that's when they start kicking in. Do you think you can elaborate as to why you think that is at the end of the service?
Absolutely. Well, you know, it's that break of family. I do see a difference, and this is something for us to really dig down. It's not getting into the weeds, but really some heavy stuff. But what I'm seeing is that there is a difference between those who are officers and actually, you know, family. I'm going to call you family out there, all right? But I'm finding through my research that there's a difference between those who are officers and those who are enlisted. Officers have time, it seems like, or taking more time to plan for the future. It's the enlisted that are not. And what's happening is I think people have, this is my conclusion, that people think they have a few bucks in their savings, and then they're able to get out and say, hey, I'll be fine. And if anybody knows the cost of living these days, it don't last that long.
Yeah.
And so you need to prepare. You need to know where you are living. You need to know about a job, a source of income, not just wishful thinking, but really looking ahead. For some good paying jobs, I'm saying well paying jobs, it takes a year or so to plug in and get your name out there. It takes time. So that's why there's that transition. And so what happens is that there's two big reasons why people do come to that. I say that scale of life, should I keep pressing? Should I push forward? Or should I maybe, check out? Or it's not worth it anymore. And so you're 100% right. That big day, that big time period is around that 180 days. That's big. But also two that are weighing on there, relationships. So it's relational and financial. So when those walls start coming in, that's when people start feeling hopeless, or what's the use? There's no purpose anymore. There's no mission. We talk about that not only as a family, but there's a mission. We watch over our family. We protect our family, our brothers, our sisters, right? That's not there anymore. And so we become isolated, alone. And then those thoughts start going. And again, that's what I'm finding, and I'm hearing from other veterans and even their family members as we journey, as I visit outside of my own little office. So again, I'm collecting all this information, and definitely will be testifying. I'm here in Washington now, as you talked about, for my conference, but I don't testify until the 13th of March.
Okay. Excellent. And you're going to be testifying for like more resources for veterans, is that correct?
Absolutely. So definitely I am going to be talking about the suicide prevention aspect, talking about mental health, providing, this is what Congress can do, is provide those means for better mental health care. And as we go through, could be alternative therapies, not just throwing a pill, but there's other ways for therapy. And I could go into more detail on that, but my highlights, and then of course with other things too, as I travel around with VA healthcare and all that, everywhere I go, the veteran has been telling me the care is outstanding. I actually went into places that I can't even describe here, but because of HIPAA and those things, but just to see the care, top notch. And I had no veteran say anything about the care being bad, but rather those other things that might influence, like parking issues. Maybe it is the IT thing, and again, that's why we want modernization within our healthcare. And as we all know, when we upgrade to certain things, I know even here in the Legion, we upgraded, and it's like, it does take time and it does take some patience. But one thing that we cannot say be patient on is the care. And for right now, from what I'm hearing, care is outstanding.
That's great. That's great news. No, I think that's huge. And you're exactly right. It's these external factors can really play a huge role. It's hard to focus on getting better if you have relationships and money issues and that sort of thing. Between those two, I think it's a much more brass tacks conversation about veteran suicide, is talking about employment and relationships. Like That's
Absolutely.
truthfully where it's at. I think a lot of people want to pay this kind of lip service where they don't talk about employment and relationships. They just talk, mainly about how, like new initiatives that are kind of outside of the box. But those two
Right.
are huge. That's huge in
Correct.
everybody's life on a daily basis. So I love that perspective.
And we can't forget one thing too. I had two thoughts that just ran through my mind too. And when people say, thank you for your service, I mean, never ever stop. I kind of did this when I was talking about Veterans Day and everything like that, and never stop those things. And we should appreciate that, right? I do when people come up and say thank you for your service, and I didn't go through the jungles of Vietnam, and I don't, and I know there's probably people that feel the same way. I don't deserve all this stuff. I didn't really do much. I'll tell you what, for all those, whether you serve 30 and bless your heart, praise the
100%.
good Lord, or you even raised your hand, we're a special type of people, without a doubt.
No doubt.
And you know something, just not saying the words, when we say thank you, that's fine. But now let's step it up. And this is something that I'm thinking in my testimony, or when I talk to those of our elected officials, be the one to provide. There's so much, it's just not lip service, but so much that we could do. And I look at, with those of, I don't want to get negative, but sometimes it does get tiring a little bit when we talk about budgets. I mean, and I'm talking about the government issues wise, and we talk about budgets and we talk about these things, and it's like, it's not even 1% that serve. Right? The new numbers, I believe, like, are not even 0.5% that serve. And why is it that the military, the people who raise their hand, we know that you could die, right?
Yep.
That's the bottom line. And to have cuts on 0.5%, there's a lot of things that we can trim the budget on, looking at the United States. And I think our viewers would agree on that. We need to supply and provide for those who serve. And that's where we start transitioning from be the one and taking care, making sure that's all done. But then now there's other issues as well. And one of the big ones is our quality of life. So this is something that, I know we were talking about transitioning out, and sometimes the walls come in, but those walls come in, even those who have raised their hand and are serving right now. And part of the American Legion, and what we talk about, is purpose, and relevance. And you don't have to be old and gray to belong to the American Legion.
Yeah.
You can be, the minute you raise your hand, you can be a member of the American Legion. And we can be even more powerful with that voice. And we're doing something that no other VSO is really doing. And I'm proud of that. And I'm not trying to say that they're not doing other things. I mean, I praise the Lord that we have other VSOs, right?
100%.
We work together and try to work together on issues. But here for us, we're taking that lead in that initiative in quality of life right now while they're serving, looking at barracks, looking at, childcare, looking at all these other stress forms that could happen that do affect the mission.
Mm-hmm.
We all know if our spouse is being taken care of back home, our minds who are deployed are focused. But if those that are deployed and we're thinking back of how to take care of, or if my wife or my husband or my children are doing fine, it hurts the mission.
Mm-hmm.
So again, quality of life issues are definitely a top priority for us as well. And that's part of our national security platform as well.
I love that. No, I love that. And I think it's super valuable to acknowledge that, yeah, you don't have to be old and gray to need, a family, is what you're saying. This American
Yes.
Legion is a group of families, and you especially I think, especially at a pivotal age for people who join younger and people who are even, middle-aged or late and advanced in years. Either way, all throughout that time, you're going to lean on your family. All of us do. So I think that's a powerful message. It's great.
With that, this is a good lead in, if you don't mind.
By all means, by all means.
We
We'll
have
get
some
to the
time.
ASVAB eventually, guys. We'll get to the ASVAB eventually. No worries.
Yes, the whole purpose is for that as well. But let us not forget, this is one thing that we're proud about too, and something that the VA even said, hey, this is a good idea, and that is buddy checks. So we talk about family, just as we, as grandparents and, our moms and our dads and our children, we get on the phone, even though, we're about texting and all that stuff, but people still use that thing as a phone. And it's always good to say, hey, how's it going, kind of thing, right?
Right.
That's what we are doing big time. And it is trickling down into our posts, and it's paying dividends. We're calling people and saying, hey, not just, hey, it's dues time, it's that time where we got to collect, and be a member again and all that. No, 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 no. Hey, how are you doing? Are you okay? Or happy birthday, kind of a thing. All those things. And it's like, somebody does care about me. And we do.
Right.
We do care. We do care. And the beauty on that is that little program that we did, the VA said, this is a great idea. So now, it was last year they started their very first buddy check within the VA, doing the same thing. And so that initiative is going to start again, and there'll be a second annual one, I believe, in October of this year then. But what we're going to try to do is use our resources, their resources. And can you imagine if we could actually contact and just say, hey, we're calling, we care, how are you doing?
Right.
That's what people need.
Right.
It's that communication. Some are alone.
Right.
They're alone. And just to say, hi, how are you doing? Does make a difference.
No, that's huge.
Does make a difference.
That's just, that's going to make a huge impact, especially for those, a lot of people who lose their relationships. They get back and a birthday goes by where nobody says anything. So
absolutely,
that one call can definitely, you're not kidding, can definitely save lives. It's huge.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. Well, we're gonna take it a little lighter. We're gonna go into to the ASVAB stuff. So I'm an ASVAB coach. I help soldiers who are trying to get better MOSs, who are trying to get better positions in the military, as well as people who are entering the military for the first time. I help them to raise their scores so that they can get the career of their choice. And coming from you, the thing that I want to focus on in your experience is you had a master's degree before you joined. Is that correct? Or were you bachelor's?
So I had a bachelor's, and then I was working on my master's, and that's when it was in 95. So a couple of years before I received my master's.
Okay, perfect.
I was in the chaplain program. Yes.
Right. So you clearly picked your job. You clearly went in to be a chaplain, correct?
Correct. That's what I knew. Yes.
And so this really ties back into what we were talking about earlier with purpose and officers and purpose, right?
Yes.
You are looking down your trajectory. You're chasing what you want your entire time. A lot of people who go into the military, they do it hoping that it's the solution to the problems. I mean, that's all we do in life, right? Is that we're solving our problems. But with your situation, I can already tell that you were highly impacted because of your intention. Your intention led to further impact in your long-term life. Can you talk a little bit about that pathway and how you selected and knew that that was the direction you wanted to go?
So, as we journey through this, sometimes it could be when you're in, you're 5 years old, or third grade, fifth grade. For me, it was seventh grade. And in seventh grade, I was in a parochial school, and I was involved in my church. And so one day, it was in a service actually, and I thought, as my pastor, who I loved, he was preaching, and I thought, something, I could actually preach like this. Not saying that was a bad sermon, but I'm like, my mind was going. I'm like, so every time I tell that story, people are like, seventh grade, and you were thinking about preaching and how it would go. It's like, so maybe in those that know the religious realm, people say without a doubt that was a calling, and all those good
Right.
things. But so what I did is then at that eighth grade level, going into high school, uh, I started to think these are the classes that I need to do, and that was writing, speech. I had to do my languages because I just wanted to push myself. So I tried to take those easy classes, and my counselor was like, "No, you're not." Like, great, all right, whatever. But so I was already prepping for the future. And I knew this was the school I was going to go to. So I went, for me, it was a Concordia, and that was Concordia University in Mequon, Wisconsin. So that's where I went. And we had two seminaries, one in St. Louis and one in Fort Wayne. And I thought, well, I had no other, those are the only two choices, but I chose Concordia Theological Seminary in Fort Wayne. So that was my path. Like you kind of are saying, some people just know this is what I'm gonna do.
Right.
And yeah, it was my path. And I was just going through that journey. In between there, I did think, and I had a good friend. I'll just say his first name, Bill. He and I went and took our ASVAB test. We thought we were going to go into the National Guard at that time, Wisconsin National Guard.
Okay.
And for some reason, he went. And I had some reservation. I just didn't know. I guess I was uncertain about that journey. I just didn't want anything to interrupt my goal of being a pastor first. But I always had that passion of I wanted to serve. I want to serve. I want to serve. It was always in the back of my mind. But here is when I went through college, and then I went into the seminary, that I had actually seminary professors who were in one was Air Force. But my real, I call him a close professor of mine. But he was in the Navy, and that's where I said, I need to do this. I need to do this.
Nice.
And that's what happened for me.
Nice. He got you. And from what I understand, it's the same in your post. You've been recruiting people into your post as well, kind of similar to your professor who, the Navy was part of their path, and they just kind of preached it, and it got you into the Navy. So same deal for getting into your post. I've heard that you've done pretty well there.
Yes, I was post commander, and as I took some other positions after, I always try to be a mentor or help out. And we had some good times and rewarding times. We went to a post high in membership 1 year, and and our community is not that big. I mean, where I live, I live in Beaver Dam. If everybody looks up my stuff, I live in Beaver Dam, which is like 9 miles away from Horicon. But Horicon is where my post is and my church.
Okay.
So it's a little time to drive away a little bit, and for me anyway, is a high stress stuff. But I love my post. And talking about family, I go back through the history. We had I think it's really a testimony of who we are. So I hear some stories where a woman is not a commander for such a long time, or finally a post has a woman commander. And for my post, I believe it was 1933, we had a lady. Now, it wasn't just because a lady, she had to be good, right?
Of course.
So to be a commander, you have to be good. That's how I look at things. So it was wonderful. Our post always uplifts, and that's what I think what I'm attracted to. And that's why I'm motivated to go to other posts and motivate, and just say, hey, you can do it. And another thing that a good friend of mine, he's my aide. I'm going to give a shout out to Mike Rowan. But anyway, we have kind of massaged this, and we're going to really, in years to come, not sooner, really launch something I think change the face of this organization of the American Legion, and that is servant leadership. Servant leadership. And I think that really keys in to other, when you talk about improving your scores and being attractive in advancing your career within the military, and even as we leave. Servant leadership. There have been top-notch commanders within the military who have mentioned that little phrase, and actually that type of leadership. And I think they know, but I want to bring that up to the forefront and really play a big part in that. I really want to change the face of our organization for the better.
I love that. Yeah, no, I took a servant leadership course back at UNLV, and I love that it flips the triangle on its head. I think that's huge, where the people who are on top are serving everyone beneath them. I think it's really hard to have a hostile work environment when your leadership they're all servant leaders. There's no way to feel like they're out to get you when they're truly serving you. So I love that.
It's correct.
Yeah,
it's correct. Yes.
That's great. No, that's great. Well, I think that about covers it. Is there anything that you wanted to say? Where can people find out more about the American Legion and all that stuff?
Absolutely. The close on this is I'm just saying, if anybody isn't in a VSO, it doesn't matter if you're old or young, or I always say more distinguished up there with a little bit of gray, or young. I'll tell you what. Join, and I'm going to say this: join us. And that would be, if you want more information, simply go to legion.org. Really simple, legion.org. And I mean, and the thing is, you can plug in at any level. I mean, there's going to be people that are going to welcome you, but they're going to say this one thing. They're going to say, they want you to be coming to a meeting and all these things. You can have a timeout on that. You can plug in any time you want, but just being that member is going to be a power. That's an active thing. You don't have to go to even one meeting, but being that card holder, being that member, you are being active, because it empowers my voice when I stand in front of senators and representatives, as well as governors, other presidents. I'm telling you, I see it. And they have actually told me, you increase, as we all know, numbers and money are powerful things, right?
Yep,
but even for the better, though, this is going to help the family. And we would want everybody, Vietnam especially, World War II especially. I'm going to say every branch, every era. I'm going to say especially, because you are all important. And for anybody listening to this right now, you're listening, and I'm a big guy on this. You're listening because there's purpose and relevance right now. And there's a purpose that you even turned this podcast on and are listening even now. There's a reason for it. Definitely a reason. And so I would say legion.org, join us, and we together can continue to change lives and save lives together as a family.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Daniel Seehafer, Commander of the American Legion, everybody. Thank you so much.
You bet. God bless.
Remember to be kind to yourself and treat yourself as a learner. Are you considering a career in the military but feeling overwhelmed by the ASVAB exam? Look no further than GaminalTutors.com for the best ASVAB prep courses. Our courses are designed by experienced instructors to help you master the best sections of the ASVAB exam. including mathematics, English, and general science. We use proven teaching methods and provide extensive practice materials to ensure that you are fully prepared on test day. With GaminalTutors.com, you'll have access to comprehensive study guides, personalized tutoring sessions, and online practice exams. Our courses are available on demand, so you can learn at your own pace and on your own schedule. Don't let the ASVAB exam hold you back from achieving your career goals. Sign up for GaminalTutors.com ASVAB prep courses today and take the first step towards a successful military career.